Paul McCartney, the iconic Beatle whose name is synonymous with music history, has amassed an astonishing net worth estimated at $1.3 billion as of 2025. This immense fortune doesn't just reflect his unparalleled musical talent, but also reveals a savvy businessman who has expertly navigated the shifting tides of the entertainment industry for more than 6 decades. What many people might not realize is how diversified and complex McCartney's income streams truly are, extending far beyond the hit songs that made him a household name worldwide. At the heart of McCartney's wealth lies his vast music catalog, which is valued at over $500 million. This catalog isn't limited to his legendary work with the Beatles, which revolutionized popular music and culture in the 1960s. It also includes the successes of his band Wings and his solo career, each contributing millions in royalties year after year. The Beatles' music continues to generate massive income through streaming platforms, licensing deals for movies, commercials, and countless cover versions by other artists, making it one of the most lucrative music catalogs in history. But McCartney's earnings aren't limited to his recordings. His live performances have been a cash cow as well, with tours like the Out There Tour and Freshen Up Tour collectively grossing more than $500 million worldwide. His ability to consistently draw massive crowds well into his 70s is a testament not only to his enduring popularity but also to his work ethic and showmanship. These tours have helped McCartney keep his connection with fans alive while significantly boosting his financial portfolio. Yet, the Beatles' legend's empire stretches far beyond the music business. Paul McCartney owns a diverse luxury real estate portfolio worth approximately $150 million, spanning properties in prime locations such as London, New York City, and the tranquil English countryside. These estates are more than just homes. They are symbols of status and savvy investment that have appreciated considerably over time, further solidifying his financial foundation. In addition, McCartney's entrepreneurial ventures include MPL Communications, a music publishing company that owns the rights to tens of thousands of songs, including those by other legendary artists. Beyond publishing, he's invested in sustainable agriculture and innovative business projects, highlighting his forward-thinking approach to wealth management. Despite this staggering fortune and business success, McCartney's wealth also comes with immense responsibility. The legacy he's created places significant emotional and financial expectations on his family, who must now manage and protect this empire for future generations. How this fortune shapes their lives and decisions is a story filled with complexity, drama, and heartfelt moments as the weight of history meets the challenges of today. Paul McCartney's family is as fascinating and multifaceted as his legendary career, and understanding the dynamics within this famous lineage reveals surprising stories about each of his children, their unique paths, and the complexities of living in the shadow of one of the greatest musicians in history. McCartney is a father to 5 children from 3 different marriages, each of whom has carved out their own distinct identity, yet all remain deeply influenced by their father's towering legacy. Starting with Heather McCartney, born in 1962, who is perhaps the least publicly known of the siblings, but whose life is rich with artistic pursuit. Heather is not Paul's biological daughter, but was adopted by him after he married her mother, Linda Eastman. Heather grew up surrounded by creativity and music, but chose a quieter, more personal form of expression through pottery and visual arts. Despite living a relatively private life compared to her famous father and siblings, Heather's work as a potter carries the same spirit of craftsmanship and dedication that McCartney himself embodies in his music. Next is Mary McCartney, born in 1969, who has emerged as a prominent figure in the world of photography and documentary filmmaking. Mary's talent lies in capturing intimate and compelling stories, often focusing on social issues, family, and culture. Her work has earned her critical acclaim and has been showcased in exhibitions around the world. What makes Mary's journey particularly interesting is how she balances her own professional identity while often documenting members of her iconic family. Her lens provides a rare, behind-the-scenes glimpse into the private lives of the McCartneys, giving fans an authentic connection beyond the headlines. Stella McCartney, born in 1971, is arguably the most famous of Paul's children, but not for music. Stella has become a celebrated fashion designer known worldwide for her commitment to ethical fashion. Her brand pioneers cruelty-free, sustainable practices, refusing to use leather or fur, a decision that reflects the McCartney family's long-standing dedication to animal rights and environmentalism. a cause championed by Paul and Linda. Stella's work challenges the traditional fashion industry and has made her a role model for combining creativity with conscience, echoing her father's innovative spirit but in a different arena. James McCartney, born in 1977, is the only biological son of Paul and has followed in his father's footsteps by pursuing a career in music. James is a talented musician and songwriter who has collaborated with Paul on several occasions. Despite his famous last name, James has worked hard to establish his own style and credibility in the music world, navigating the pressures of living up to a legendary legacy while crafting his own artistic voice. His music reflects a modern rock sensibility, infused with echoes of the Beatles' timeless influence. Finally, Beatrice McCartney, the youngest, was born in 2003 to Paul and his second wife, Heather Mills. Beatrice's life has been subject to public interest from the start, partly due to the high-profile nature of her parents' marriage and subsequent divorce. Though still young, Beatrice represents the new generation of the McCartney family, facing the unique challenge of growing up in the spotlight while also inheriting the weight of a monumental family legacy. Together, these 5 children illustrate how Paul McCartney's legacy extends far beyond music. Their individual stories are woven with the threads of creativity, public scrutiny, personal ambition, and the ongoing challenge of living up to a name that is recognized worldwide. The McCartney family is a vivid example of how fame and fortune bring not only opportunities, but also complicated expectations and emotional challenges, making their journey as compelling as Paul's own rise to stardom. Inheriting a vast fortune is often seen as the ultimate blessing, a gateway to financial freedom, opportunities, and an easier life. But for the McCartney family, inheriting Paul McCartney's immense wealth and legendary legacy is far more complicated than just numbers on a balance sheet. It's a double-edged sword that carries emotional weight, immense pressure, and unexpected challenges. When you're the child of one of the most iconic musicians in history, someone who shaped the sound of a generation and whose name is etched forever into global culture, the stakes are incredibly high. The responsibility to not only manage but preserve and protect Paul's legacy is enormous. His children are not only heirs to a fortune but also guardians of an unparalleled musical and cultural heritage. This isn't just about money. It's about upholding values, standards, and a reputation that has been built over decades of groundbreaking work and personal sacrifice. Imagine living under the constant gaze of the public eye, where every decision you make, every word you say, can be scrutinized and dissected by millions. For the McCartney kids, navigating this constant spotlight adds a unique kind of pressure that most heirs don't experience. Fame itself becomes a challenge. They have to strike a delicate balance between living their own lives and protecting the legacy that is so deeply entwined with their family identity. This often leads to emotional struggles that aren't obvious to outsiders. The weight of expectations can create internal conflicts. Questions like, am I living up to the family name? Or will I ever be seen as more than just Paul McCartney's child? This struggle to carve out their own identity while respecting their father's monumental achievements is a tightrope walk that can sometimes feel isolating and overwhelming. On top of that, there's the public fascination that sometimes borders on obsession. Fans and media are eager to know every detail about the McCartney family, from their personal lives to how they're handling the legacy. This relentless attention can amplify feelings of vulnerability and insecurity. It can make even routine family decisions feel like global news, magnifying normal challenges into public dramas. This kind of scrutiny places an additional emotional burden on the family, making privacy a precious and often elusive commodity. What makes this journey even more complex is the diverse personalities and paths of Paul's children. Each has their own passions, careers, and ways of dealing with their inheritance, which can sometimes cause friction or misunderstanding within the family. The challenge is not only external but internal: how to support each other, respect differences, and work together to protect the legacy while allowing everyone to thrive as individuals. Ultimately, for the McCartney family, inheriting this fortune isn't just about wealth. It's about an ongoing emotional journey. It's about carrying a torch that's as inspiring as it is heavy, with the constant push and pull between personal aspirations and the duty to honor a legendary name. And this struggle, this delicate dance between freedom and responsibility, is a story few outsiders get to see, but it's one that defines the true meaning of legacy. The McCartney grandchildren are stepping into the spotlight, each beginning to carve out their own unique paths in life. While they carry the weight of an extraordinary family legacy, They are determined not to be defined solely by the name they inherited. One of the most talked about among them is Elliot Donald, Paul McCartney's grandson, who recently made headlines with his graduation from New York University's prestigious Gallatin School of Individualized Study, a program known for its flexibility and focus on personalized education. But what's even more fascinating is how Elliot is already building a resume that's as impressive as it is diverse. He has secured internships at some of the most influential and creative hubs in the world, including Jay-Z's powerhouse entertainment company, Rock Nation, the world-renowned contemporary artist Jeff Koons' studio, and Art Farm, a cutting-edge property brand that blends real estate with art and innovation. These experiences reveal a young man deeply invested in exploring the intersections of creativity, business, and culture, a clear reflection of the family's long-standing commitment to innovation and hard work. Yet, Elliot's journey is far from easy. Growing up as a McCartney comes with pressures most people cannot imagine. Every move he makes is inevitably under the microscope of public attention, from career decisions to personal milestones. The public, and indeed the media, often have expectations that he will follow in his grandfather's footsteps, potentially overshadowing his own ambitions and individual talents. How does a young person establish an identity when the world already expects a legacy to be lived up to? This is the delicate challenge Elliot and his cousins face, navigating between the immense advantages of their family name and the desire to be recognized for their own merits. The tension between heritage and self-expression is an ongoing balancing act. Moreover, the McCartney grandchildren are growing up in a very different world than their grandfather did. The music industry, art world, and business landscapes have all evolved dramatically with the rise of digital technology, social media, and new cultural movements. This adds layers of complexity to their paths, but also opens doors to innovative ways of forging their careers. It's a generation tasked with not only preserving a cherished legacy, but also redefining what it means to be part of one of the most famous families in music history. Their stories aren't just about wealth or fame. They speak to the broader human experience of identity, expectation, and the courage it takes to step out of the shadows of giants. In watching the McCartney grandchildren grow, the world witnesses a new chapter unfolding, one that could transform the family's influence for generations to come, proving that legacy is not just inherited but actively reimagined. Paul McCartney's legacy isn't just about iconic songs, sold-out arenas, and an eye-watering billion-dollar fortune. It's also about what he chose to do with that fame and influence. Beyond the headlines and the spotlight lies a deeply personal and profound commitment to making the world a better place. Alongside his late wife, Linda McCartney, Paul helped pioneer an idea that was far ahead of its time: the fusion of celebrity and ethical responsibility. In the early 1990s, Paul and Linda launched Linda McCartney Foods, a revolutionary brand dedicated to vegetarian and vegan products. At a time when plant-based living was still considered fringe, they introduced meat-free meals to the mainstream, and millions followed. This wasn't just a business venture, it was a mission. They believed in saving animals, reducing environmental harm, and offering healthier food choices to the public. And today, the brand still thrives, continuing Linda's vision decades after her passing. But the McCartney family's dedication to change didn't stop there. Paul's daughter, Mary McCartney, took the torch and ran with it. As a talented photographer, filmmaker, and activist, she became a global ambassador for Meat-Free Monday, a campaign encouraging people around the world to skip meat one day a week for the sake of the planet. Why just one day? Because the statistics are staggering. Skipping meat even once a week can lower your carbon footprint, conserve water, and even reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. The initiative, endorsed by scientists, environmentalists, and celebrities, has grown into a global movement. And it all started with a Beatles legend and his love for animals. Here's where the story becomes even more compelling. This legacy of compassion and activism is now part of the McCartney inheritance. It's not just about bank accounts or real estate portfolios. It's about values. It's about carrying forward a responsibility to use wealth and influence wisely, to leave the world better than you found it. Imagine being the child or grandchild of Paul McCartney, not only inheriting an empire but also being expected to defend the environment, advocate for animals, and inspire millions. That's a different kind of pressure, and a beautiful one. As fans continue to celebrate Paul's music, they're also discovering the quieter yet equally powerful impact he and his family are having on the world. And that's the part of Paul McCartney's story that most people don't know. but absolutely should. When most people hear the name Paul McCartney, they instantly think of Beatles hits, sold-out stadiums, and unforgettable melodies. But behind the music lies something few truly realize. Paul McCartney is not just a music icon, he's a business mastermind. Quietly, steadily, and with remarkable foresight, he has built a billion-dollar empire that extends far beyond songwriting credits and platinum records. At the heart of McCartney's financial empire is MPL Communications, a company he founded in 1971 that today controls the rights to Pamit's over 25,000 songs. And we're not just talking about his own work. MPL owns music by legendary artists like Buddy Holly, Carl Perkins, and many more whose catalogs continue to generate massive income through royalties, film placements, commercials, and streaming. What's wild is that many fans have no idea McCartney owns the rights to music that shaped the very foundation of rock and roll. This vast library is one of the most valuable independent music catalogs in the world, and it's a source of steady revenue year after year. Whenever a song like That'll Be the Day plays in a film, or a classic track gets sampled in a modern hit, guess who's still getting paid? But that's only part of the story. McCartney isn't just preserving the past, he's investing in the future through MPL Ventures. His private investment arm, McCartney is quietly backing some of the most cutting-edge startups on the planet. For instance, a plant-based chicken company aiming to revolutionize how we eat and reduce our dependence on animal agriculture. A music tech startup using smart technology to track and report music plays more accurately in public venues, ensuring artists are fairly paid. These aren't just random bets. They reflect McCartney's deep commitment to innovation, sustainability, and fairness. Values he's championed since the 1960s. His investments are forward-thinking, often ahead of their time, and aligned with global trends in tech and green business. What's even more fascinating is how, under the radar, all this is. McCartney rarely brags about his wealth or his business moves, yet behind the scenes he's running a machine that could rival corporate moguls. Managing this empire isn't a hands-off affair either. The McCartney family plays a key role in overseeing and growing these ventures. Strategic planning, risk management, and legacy preservation are now part of their everyday lives, and the decisions they make could shape the next chapter of Paul McCartney's legacy. So, while the world hums along to Hey Jude, McCartney is quietly shaping the future of music, tech, and food. And yes, his business empire may end up being just as legendary as his songs. When most people hear Paul McCartney's name, they think of chart-topping hits, screaming fans, and unforgettable Beatles melodies. But there's another side to Sir Paul's life that often goes unnoticed: his jaw-dropping real estate empire, quietly valued in the hundreds of millions. And it's not just the number of homes he owns that's impressive, it's the fascinating stories and strategic purpose behind each one. Start with his breathtaking 1,500-acre estate in East Sussex, England. This isn't just a countryside getaway, it's a literal slice of British history. McCartney bought this vast property back in the 1970s, and it quickly became the McCartney family's sanctuary, surrounded by rolling hills, hidden gardens, and even its own recording space. This estate has witnessed family milestones, musical inspiration, and perhaps even the creation of songs we all know by heart. But here's what most people don't realize. This estate is protected under strict conservation laws, meaning McCartney's ties to nature and heritage run deeper than most would guess. Now imagine escaping the cold English countryside to a sun-drenched Michoacan ranch in Tucson, Arizona. Paul purchased this desert hideaway with his late wife, Linda, whose American roots made the location even more meaningful. This ranch wasn't just a luxury investment. It was the couple's attempt to live a simpler, quieter life, close to nature. Rumor has it, the family raised livestock there and embraced a near off-grid lifestyle. The emotional weight tied to this property? Immeasurable. And then there's his sleek Manhattan penthouse, perched high above the city that never sleeps.